Welcome to Unit 1, Prepare for Spectator Events. So, what we're going to learn today is know how to prepare for steward activities, know how to identify and deal with hazards, know how to search the venue for suspected items or suspect items. So basically, follow this in your portfolio. This will answer the majority of the questions for you, give a little bit of a insight into what we're doing. So, first of all, what do you think we need to know? I think we need to know the ground regulations. What are ground regulations? Well, they're a set of rules and regulations that spectators must abide by. So any of you that worked in a venue or even been to a stadium, what sort of things can't you do? Well, we'll talk about it in a second. But basically, it's found at every set of turnstiles, at every ground in the country. Next time you go to a stadium as a spectator or working, have a look at the front of the turnstiles. There should be a copy of the ground regulations. If not, they're breaking the law. It's actually your responsibility as a steward to make sure they are complied with, and if not, you must tell your supervisor or team leader. It's that simple. That's your responsibilities. To give you a clue, that comes up the question in the portfolio. So, give an example of the ground regulations then. So, you cannot smoke, you cannot drink in view of the pitch. No standing in the stadium, that means in the seating area, obviously not in the concourse. No throwing objects onto the pitch, and no running onto the pitch. Couple of stories, I don't know if you've noticed, obviously there's a couple of pitch invasions. I think one being at West Ham, and a guy that was Aston Villa who hit the individual. He actually got, not only done for assault, he actually got, I think it was a 3-year ban. We've got a good ban for it, but predominantly for running onto a pitch, otherwise known as a pitch incursion. So basically all times while you're present in the ground, persons or individuals must comply with any of all the instructions of a steward or officer of the club and or the police officer. So basically that means is as a steward, what you're actually meant to do is if you tell someone to sit down, tell someone to stop smoking, tell someone to do anything, as long as it's reasonable, obviously. You can't tell them to clean the toilets, but as long as you can actually tell them to do something that's within the law, and it's all part of the briefing that you've received, and they don't comply, they can actually get ejected from the ground. That's the reality of it. So when someone turns around and says to you, hold on a minute, mate, what's the reason why I've got to sit down? The answer is regulations. End of. That is it. So, what are your powers of a steward? Basically, as a steward, you have to comply with the law. You have to uphold the regulations. That's obviously your responsibility. You have to uphold the regulations, but your actual powers themselves is you can eject someone from the ground for breach of ground regulations. So basically, you can throw somebody out, or eject, shall we say. And if you are actually trained to do so, you actually can have something known as a citizen's arrest for an indictable offence. What an indictable offence basically means is that anything that could go to court, like a serious crime, assault, murder, criminal damage, anything that you get a criminal record from with known as an indictable offence, you can actually have a citizen's arrest for that. So, moving forward then, so what a steward can't do. So what do you think a steward can't do? Well, so what a steward can do. So the steward what they can't do is actually break the law themselves. You cannot force someone to submit a search. Usually those that have got an SIA licence will actually know that you cannot force somebody to search. Same as a steward, exactly the same. You cannot refuse entry on the grounds of race, sex, religion, or because they do not like an individual. We will talk about that when it comes to the Equality Act, the protected characteristics, but you can't refuse someone to come into a stadium based on the fact that you don't like them. You can't refuse the fact of them coming into the stadium because you don't like them. If they've done something wrong, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. You can't stop them from coming because they're abusive. You can't stop them because they've been drinking. You can stop them from coming in because they are wearing a wrong football shirt. But that's not a personal matter. What you can't do, you cannot make anything personal. Moving forward, you cannot verbally be abusive towards a customer or other members of staff. I think it's self-explanatory, really, to be perfectly honest. And you cannot use excessive force on a customer. If you use excessive force on a customer, it is known as an assault, which puts you into the realms of the law. So that is basically the ins and outs of the first few questions you've got there. Bit of a background, bit of an understanding of exactly what it is that you're there to do. We talked about the regulations. So this is a bit of a recap. Regulations are basically set out by the FA. You find them on the turnstiles, and it's actually a set of rules that means you cannot do certain things within that stadium, as an example, or the event. So examples of that: no smoking. And the reason why you can't smoke, Bradford 1975. What happened? If you guessed that there was a fire, you are correct. That was due because someone was smoking. Hillsborough disaster. Hillsborough disaster obviously has been in the papers for some time. What actually happened there was people were coming in, weren't allowed in. There was no seating. That actually, as a result of Hillsborough, has become a seated venue. But what actually happens is people coming in never had a ticket. So another one of the regulations is you cannot go into a venue if you do not have a valid ticket. Hence, where turnstiles. So obviously, it's a count. There's a capacity. Wherever you work, there's obviously different capacities. I personally work at Wembley Stadium, and the capacity there is 90,000. They cannot have 90,001 because that means they're actually breaking the law. So that's basically a bit of a background now. So we're now going to sort of go into all the answers in the portfolio. This goes through, we're going to start with the law and legislation. So again, following in your portfolio, the page that we are currently on, let's get my portfolio here. We're actually starting now on question 1 of unit 1. So that's actually page, I believe, 25 of 81 in the book. If you have the book, but it's actually unit 1, very, very first page. Which of the following pieces of legislation are relevant to stewards and spectators at the venue you work at? So we're going to work from now all the way down, talk about the answers on the PowerPoint. So next slide, laws and regulations, question 1, as we said there. So what laws have we got? Some of these, have a quick look. Some of these you may actually know, you may actually even heard of. There's a few in here we're going to talk about, which are obviously relevant to the training, but there's bits in here as well which cover every single qualification. So, what have we got then? So we've got Health and Safety at Work Act 1974. What does that mean? Okay, let's talk about health and safety, we'll talk about that in a minute. Safety at the Sports Grounds Act 1975. Sporting Events Control of Alcohol, Fire Safety and Safety of Places. Football Spectators Act 1989, Football Offences Act 1991, and the list goes on. Many of these type of things is obviously laws and legislations and regulations that will come into specifics with regards to what you can and what you can't do. Anybody know what the Act means? For you to answer correctly, potentially, did you say that it's a statute law? Well done, that is correct. What an act means, it means it's an act of parliament. It means that if you actually break that law, you can go to prison, or basically you can get arrested and you'll be put in front of a county court, otherwise known as indictable offence. So anything with an act in it means there's a repercussion, potentially of a criminal record, police custodial sentence, or a fine, or anything along them sort of lines. So that's obviously the law aspect of it. So we're now going to talk about the laws and what they basically mean. We'll talk about a little bit of detail. So Health and Safety at Work Act 1974, whenever you guys have what you do for work, this is really something that you need to know, and this law basically trumps absolutely everything. So what is your role in Health and Safety at Work Act 1974? Well, it's very simple. Your role is to facilitate a safe and enjoyable environment for spectators by being proactive and following the venue rules and policies and regulations. So, type of things you need to be aware of your health and safety is making sure that all the aisles are kept clear, making sure there is no rubbish anywhere, making sure that if there's a spillage on the floor, it is either reported for the facilities and or you're being proactive by telling people to walk around it. That's Health and Safety at Work Act 1974. Very, very easy. Next one you've got Football Offences Act 1991. This actually came into effect as a result of football hooliganism. So basically what this means is all the football hooligans, depending on what team you support, to whether or not you know, or a football hooligan element, but this was brought into place because there was actually no laws that stopped individuals from doing certain things. The regulations of smoking, standing up, etc., etc., but there wasn't actually any law until 1991, Football Offences Act, that stopped people from throwing missiles onto the pitch, participating in indecent or racist chanting, and entering the pitch without lawful authority. So that's a pitch incursion. There was no issues with pitch incursions. However, throwing missiles onto the pitch, in fact, throwing anything onto the pitch. Recently, I believe there's been a fan of a London club that had been convicted of throwing a banana onto the pitch. People throwing coins onto the pitch. One of the things is, I think it was Chelsea against Tottenham. What Chelsea and Tottenham actually did, they actually picked up around about, I think it was about £42, I think, around about £42. That enabled them to give to charity. And sorry about that, that's just my phone going off. It's linked to the phone. So going to there, sorry, back to where we was. I think they picked up around about £42, I think it was. That was coins thrown onto the pitch. And participating in decent or racist chanting. This has been very, very clear within the stadium. It's been in the papers actually, where people have been having monkey noises, etc., towards Dele Alli or individuals within the football side of it. The biggest one is obviously the Eastern European clubs. They come along and obviously they have racist chanting towards England players, and in fact most players anyway. Smoke-free premises. I'm sure you guys have seen this on a more regular basis. What you actually have here is the idea that you cannot smoke in a stadium. It's not actually a legal entity. If anything, it's actually a regulation, and as you can tell, it's not actually a legal aspect of it because it doesn't have Act after it. If it has Acts after it, then obviously it becomes a legislation. However, it's actually against the law to smoke in a virtually enclosed public space, which means that if you do smoke, you will get ejected. Again, it's one of the regulations. And obviously that's indicated by a no smoking sign. Next one, Equality Act 2010. You may remember, when you're doing this, it used to be called the Disability Discrimination Act of 1995. So basically, Equality Act 2010 has 9 protected characteristics, as we've discussed. So it means you cannot discriminate against someone against age. So it used to be a thing over 55 or 18, you can no longer do that. People have a disability. That does not mean that someone has a disability just because they're in a wheelchair. They actually say now that a disability cannot be seen. Gender reassignment, so basically changing from a male to a female or female to a male. Marriage or civil partnership, pregnancy and maternity, race, religion or belief, sex or sexual orientation. So sexual orientation is whether or not that person may be homosexual or not. You cannot discriminate against them. Okay, so basically what happens is the event must be accessible and inclusive to all. That's why some of the stadiums you have may have disability access. Someone comes up that may be in a wheelchair, they may have to go in certain places, they may have to go to another entrance. If the venue or the festival or the event does not do that, then they are breaking the Equality Act of 2010. As a result, could end up obviously in court. So that's a major thing. So one of your responsibilities again is to uphold that. Okay. So what you can't do is discrimination against somebody. So the idea there, in order for you to not to do that, is to be impartial. Now, what impartiality means that you should treat everybody exactly the same. It does not matter if anyone has any of those protected characteristics whatsoever. It shouldn't matter that a man may be dressed as a woman, or vice versa, or a person may have a religious wear. You cannot discriminate against that person, no matter what your thoughts are, no matter what you believe. You still cannot do that. Okay? And how do you do that? So how do you act impartial? Well, it is by that treating everyone exactly the same. And why is it important that you do that? Well, the basic is because it affects you. It could cause conflict with you. What it also could do with the event could actually cause the event promoters major issues. But what you have something known as vicarious liability. So what that basically means is that if you're racist to someone, or you break the Equality Act for anything that you do, then it brings the stadium into disrepute. There's been many cases of stadiums where the staff have actually done something and they don't actually know or know your name or anything like that. They'll just say, this stadium has done this stadium has done that. So obviously you have major issues there. So that's the Equality Act 2010. So, on to the next bit. We'll talk about guidance. So what sort of things you're going to have with guidance? So obviously during your event, what you're potentially going to have, you may be issued with a handbook or actually a briefing document, which we're going to talk about briefings a little bit later. So you may actually have a document for the event of the day. Every event's different, we understand that. So obviously you should have a briefing document according to what that event is. However, you don't get a handbook, you don't get a briefing document. What you should have is a notebook and pen in order to write this information down, which is this will come up in the briefing. Again, this will cover this in a second, or a little bit later. If you have that mindset and you want to learn more, and I think you may have actually maybe got a link in the email with this, it's having the guide to safety at sports grounds, otherwise known as the Green Guide. And then obviously you've got Event Safety Guide, which is known as the Purple Guide. In a nutshell, what the Green Guide is, the Green Guide actually sets out to how a stadium is built, and what it must have in it. For example, fire exits, ideally how many stewards it has, how many toilets it should have, the layout of it in order for safety. That's basically the Green Guide. The Purple Guide is towards the Event Safety Guide. So if you imagine in an event somewhere like a stadium, obviously they have rugby games, they'll have soccer games, football games, they also have concerts. So what you've got to think of there with the Purple Guide is, with a concert or maybe a boxing match, where does that differ from a football match or a rugby match? And the simple answer is this: people are allowed onto the pitch. That's the main difference. So if people are now onto the pitch, what do they now have to produce in this Purple Guide? They have to produce an exit route for these individuals, because it might not be feasible for individuals that are in the centre circle, that are watching a concert or wherever it may be. They are then not able to run across the pitch, and they go up to the aisles, obviously, where they potentially come in from a concourse. So what they have to have in now is exit routes on the actual pitch itself. Normally the players' tunnel, or in some stadiums you actually see in the corners, you actually see tunnels that go underneath the stadium. They're actually known as exit routes. So they must be open all, whereas actually on a football game, most individuals will be evacuated to the concourse. So they still have to be open, just in case, but they're not readily manned to an extent, because obviously the exit route will be up the stairs onto the concourse, whereas on a concert, that might not be feasible. So they have to have entrance routes actually on the concert. So that's how basically Event Safety Guide. So you've got the Green Guide there, which obviously covers the actual stadium itself, and then you've got the Purple Guide, which is all about the event and how it's best designed. So the other thing, a stadium's philosophy and the general principle of crowd management, the 3 S's. You may have heard of this, you may not have. However, this is what it's all about. What do the 3 S's mean? The 3 S's are very simple: safety, security and service. No particular order, they're most important of each other. However, the stadium philosophy is safety, security and service. The staff members must provide safety. Safety steward must provide security, making sure that there is nothing untoward, making sure that everybody's searched. That's another regulation. Make sure that everybody's searched when they come into the stadium. And service. It's all about customer service now. You will find these individuals will have brands. They have this brand, they spend a lot of money into the service. So 3 S's: safety, security and service. So, pre-event routines. For users who already work into a stadium or have been to a stadium, you would know this anyway, okay? Registration, briefing, and then obviously venue check and venue sweeps, okay? Pre-event checks. Again, this is all in your portfolio. So this just mirrors on. So, arrival at work. I know this sounds crazy. Not a lot of people do this, but consider your route to work. Work out the trains, the tubes. Is there any delays? You'll be surprised how many people, in my experience, they go to the same place week in, week out. And one week, TfL decide to do engineering works. And it goes late. You get text messages and phone calls saying, I'm late, because they do the same generally. You're driving, traffic jams, check it. It's important, because from a company's perspective and a stadium's perspective, if you do not get there on time, that actually means that you cannot open. Fact. Okay. Consider registration and start work timings. What's your dress code? The majority now is shoes, black polished boots, black trousers, white shirt, a black clip-on tie. What's the reason why it's important to have a clip-on tie? You get involved in a fracas, you get involved in something, someone pulls it, you're not getting dragged around, it comes straight off. A jacket, black, no hood. Again, this is stadium specific, this is event specific. But you obviously, just to consider, one of the places I work at, you're not allowed a hood on, especially one with a big fur hood. And most importantly, a notebook and pen. That to me is fundamental. Whatever you believe anything out of that, notebook and pen. Most importantly, there's a policy, most stadiums, again, this is just going by generically, is no bags. You might be able to take a Tesco's bag, or a A4 size bag, but a big rucksack or a suitcase is a no-go. And the simple reason for no bags is because you've nowhere to put it. That's there. But again, each venue or each place is actually different. But just something to consider. So, registration. What's meant by registration? Well, quite simply, it's basically you signing in to your company or into the stadium itself. Now, registration is either done through a signature or it's done through an internal system. Anything could be, okay? So why is it important? Well, it provides an overall list of personnel on site. So basically, it's for two reasons. Firstly, it means for health and safety. If there is an emergency or something happens, they know who should be there. Secondly, I suppose most importantly, is the fact that you get paid. No one goes to work, you don't want to get paid. Right? Demonstrates compliance with required numbers on the safety certificate. So if, say for example, the stadium certificate or the stadium or the council tells the stadium that they must have 1,000 stewards, for example, and only 999 have signed in, they are one short. So it's important that you register. But for you guys, the most important thing, if I'm honest, is probably about payroll. But it's obviously about the stadium certificate. And it has a list of allocations to staff posts to be covered. You actually have something in a stadium where, even though you have 1,000 people, there are key locations that need to get done. That could be pitch, that could be exits, that could be turnstiles. So what they'll do is, if they are running short for any reason, they'll actually find out how many people they've got, and then it will move on from there. You have a call sign sheet for control room, and obviously collecting resources. So briefing, roles and responsibilities. So you've got safety-related aspects. What are the roles and responsibilities in the briefing? This is what you get. You get event details. You get the timings, numbers expected, the profile. Cat A, Cat B, Cat C, Cat CIR. Cat A is a low-risk game. Cat B is a medium-risk game. Cat C is probably anything with Millwall. And Cat CIR is definitely anything with Millwall. Any intelligence, any individuals, how many risk groups they're getting. Are they bringing people down? Is there going to be pyros? What is the search regime and what the weather is? Specific event details, numbers expected, code words. What are code words for? For example, code red, code black, tango, foxtrot, wherever you may work. What is the reason why you get given code words? And the simple reason for importance comes down to the fact you don't want to worry spectators. If you then see a suspect package, suspect bag, we'll talk about it a bit later, you find one of those, what you don't want to do is turn around and say to your pal, or get on the phone or get on the radio and go, I've got a suspect package. Imagine doing that, there'll be panic everywhere because of the current climate that we do live in. So what you may come in is a code black. You may get a code red. Whatever your code word is, that's the reason for the code word. And then obviously emergency procedures. So emergency procedures, obviously you've got here, run, hide and tell, which is fine in the event of a terrorist attack. But what is the emergency procedure if a turnstile goes down? What's the emergency procedure if there's water on the floor? What's the emergency procedure if, I don't know, one of the stadiums has to be evacuated, or there's a worse, or a burst water pipe? You only get to know that from your briefing. You only get to know that from your briefing. And obviously you find out your role and responsibilities. And why is it important to take notes? The simple reason is we're only human. You may forget. It's fact. You may forget. I won't remember anything. As I'm reading this out, I'm actually watching it on the screen, so I can't remember it all. That's why it's important to take notes. Hence why you need your notebook and pen. Once you do your briefing, so you've done your registration, you've obviously collected all your resources, which we'll cover in a second. You then obviously go to your briefing, you then go to your position, and then you've got to do something as a pre-event check. So what's a pre-event check? Well, in a nutshell, to be honest with you, is to make sure the venue is safe and ready. That venue cannot open unless that pre-event check has been done. Okay, so what sort of things are you looking for there? You're looking for safety, security and emergency equipment. What sort of emergency equipment are you thinking of? Fire extinguishers, fire exits, fire alarms, anything along those sort of lines. Conditions, visibility of signs. How do you check a sign? We need to make sure A, it's visible, and B, most importantly, fit for purpose. That's a sign. If there's a sign there, also make sure it's correct. Because sometimes these events do different things. They may have a sign up that was relevant to last week. If that's the case and it's not relevant, get it taken down. Obviously, safety hazards, which we'll talk about in a minute, security hazards, fire hazards and hygiene hazards. Okay, we will talk about those, but they're the sort of things you need to be looking at. For example, I'll give you the biggest one on the hygiene hazard, and basically a safety hazard, is if the toilet's overflowed, then what? You know, you're going to have dirty water everywhere. You're going to have, I don't know, risk of diseases, hygiene side of it. So what do? Quite simply, lock it off. That's what you do. Tell your supervisor. Everything. If there's a problem, tell your supervisor. But lock it off. Don't let anyone use it. Think about, what do you want to do? How would you want to? What sort of place would you like to go into? Right? Remember, this is all about before you open the doors. Once you give that information to say that yes, the stadium is ready to go, they take it as it's ready to go. What they don't want to know is if there's the event of a fire and you have not checked the area and there's no fire extinguisher, how can you do your job correctly? Bradford all over again. So what resources are you required? Well, let's break it down. Quite simply, you need your ID. Why do you need your ID? So if people know who you are, plus as well in the event of an emergency, people have that. Your passes, you may need an accreditation. Your ID doesn't always, your face doesn't always open up a door. You might need a pass. For example, you might need a pass that means you can go to one place and another place and another place. If you haven't got that pass and the guys are doing their job correctly, they can't get in there. What would you do if someone come up to you and said, I haven't got a pass? You wouldn't let them through. That's why you need one. High-vis jacket. Why do you need your high-vis jacket? Well, first of all, health and safety. Across the board there. Secondly, and most importantly for the high-vis jacket, is so you can be seen on camera. That's the main reason. It differentiates between you in the stands and everybody else. Your radio, if you're lucky enough to have a radio, it's obviously to report to people, go up and down. That's the main purpose behind it. It's having some form of communications. You can't sit there on your phone. You can't start ringing unless it's an emergency, but people don't want you on the phone. A search wand. What does a search wand do? Conducting a search. However, what a search wand does is actually indicates if there's any metal objects on that individual. So it could be used if there's any weapons, like a knife or a gun or anything to do with explosives. Search wand is required. Notebook and pen. That's what you need, and we've covered that. We've gone through that. Write stuff down so you remember it again. Briefing document and site maps, if you're lucky enough to have them. But I would say definitely notebook and pen. They're all types of resources that you do require. Okay. Why is it important you look after your resources? Well, very simple. If it falls into the wrong hands, there's been stadiums that I know of where actually passes, accreditations, and high-vis jackets have actually gone missing. Who knows where these are? People can find these. People would use them. People will get into the stadiums. Do you need to know that that person next to you is legitimate? He might be someone that's found, he or she, sorry, maybe someone that's found a high-vis jacket and they've managed to walk in. They might want to cause harm. Who knows? Access to unauthorised areas. You get a pass. You get a pass there. You can go into A, B, and C. If that pass has something that's not in the public, players' lounges, servers, any places like that, and they get into there, who knows what they can do. And obviously the reputation of the company and the venue. There's a lot of people now with YouTube, what they try and do is they try and film themselves getting into places to actually say this security is bad, but they do it by photocopying passes, they do it by doing that. But the reason why they manage to photocopy passes is because people put them on the internet, people put them on social media, or people just chuck them in the bin. We've also now, honestly, in terms of looking after and returning it, is the cost. The fact of the matter is, these things that you have, high-vis jackets, radios, passes, they all cost money. If you do not give them back, where does the expense go? Replacing passes and the high-vis causes issues at signing out and causes issues at the next event. Think about this, you've got a radio, it's not working properly, the battery's dead, you haven't put it on charge, that person goes to grab hold of it, they get involved in an emergency, they're trying to speak on the radio, no one comes. That could be you. Someone could have actually done the radio, it's not working, it's all faulty, they haven't mentioned it to anyone. You pick up that radio, a fight kicks off, you need them because you've seen ABC, guess what happens there? That's why it's important. If there is any faults, as long as you haven't drop kicked a radio up and down the concourse, as long as it's gone by fault, report it. That's the best thing to do. Someone says, why is it damaged? I don't know. But again, as long as you haven't drop kicked it or thrown it at someone or whatever it may be, let's be honest. Think about what do you want the equipment to be when you pick it up? Fit for purpose. Okay. Now we'll talk about hazards and how to deal with them. This is the next step on the portfolio. We've covered this here now. Again, like I said before, we've covered a lot of this. It's for you to read. A lot of this is that sort of common sense approach. However, we will be doing webinars, live webinars, to see if you do get stuck on this. There is an email address. Obviously, you can email if you do have any questions, and myself or Kelly will actually reply back. But obviously, it's just there. So, hazards. So, what is a physical hazard? Who knows what a physical hazard actually is? Well, it's simple. Basically, it's something that could cause harm to self, colleagues, or public. My phone keeps going off. So, something that could cause harm to self, colleagues, or the public. Give an example of a hazard. A broken seat. So, when you're doing your pre-event checks and you're going through the boat, what are you looking for? You're looking for a broken seat. Would you want to sit down? What's the injuries that could be caused? You want to make sure that the fire exits aren't blocked. That's a hazard. Water on the floor. That's a hazard. Okay, the most common one is obviously an IED. But let's be honest, if you're doing your job correctly and security safe, chances of finding one are slim. But what are the chances of you finding a broken seat? Quite high. Depends on who the stadium's had there previously. What's an uprooted tile? A broken lock, they're all known as hazards, okay? So anything that can cause harm, ill health, injury, or property or plant. So what's the risk? The risk is actually of that hurting someone. Well, I'll tell you something now. If you leave it, I guarantee you it will happen, okay? So there you go. Danger. What's wrong with that picture? Well, I think it's very obvious. What is the hazard? Or flammable gas or the cigarette? It's entirely up to you what you believe the hazard is. But what is the risk of that going boom? Well, I'll be honest with you, very, very high. Not necessarily because of the gas, not necessarily because of the cigarette, but because of the human. Enough said. Look at this. What's the hazard there? What's the risk? To be fair, that just baffles me, really, to be fair. But that actually happened. There we go. Look at the hazard there. Or the hazard there on the left-hand side, just here. What's the issue with the fire extinguisher? Anyone see it? That's right, it's locked. It's padlocked. In the event of a fire, what do you need to get that open? A lock. Unless everyone's got the key, there's all 1,000 stewards in that environment have a key to it, then you're wasting time. That is a serious hazard. And then look at this idiot. Look at this idiot here. Look, sitting on a shotgun. Well, that baffles belief, really. But there you go, hazard and risks. What is the risk of that? Well, it's huge. What's the risk of that? Well, enough said. So next one, check for physical hazards. So this one we'll talk about the next bit in the book: safety equipment, security equipment, emergency equipment, and signs and notices. Okay. So here we go. So safety equipment. What sort of things are you going to be checking? So safety equipment is example of high-vis, notebook and pens, torches, radios, PA system. So high-vis, is it clean? Has it got the number clear on it? The radios, is it charged, working? Torches, are they charged? Are they working? Have you got notebook and pen? Are the pedestrian barriers together? Public address system, can it be heard? I don't know how many times you've actually maybe sat in a briefing or tried doing something and they testing the PA system just about when the supervisor's giving you the information in the briefing. But that's the reason why they do it. So, what do you do if any of the bubble's not correct in working order? Well, I think to be fair, that's probably obvious. If I'm honest, let's be fair, you go and report it back, or you tell your supervisor. But most of all, you go back to the company rep before you actually or the person you got it from before you go out with it. Next one, security equipment. So this is all about that security, safety, security and service. So the security equipment and the metal detectors working. Is the CCTV working? Have you got property bags, disposable gloves? Again, what do you do if anything above was not incorrect or working order? I think that's obvious, is it not? Go back to the same thing. Emergency equipment, fire extinguishers, first aid kits, fire extinguishers, are they there? Disregard of location, type and service, but are they there where they should be? Absolutely. First aid kits, are they available? Do you know where they are? Emergency phones. We have something yellow phones or red phones or emergency phones, whatever colour they are. Best thing to do, pick it up, speak to the person on the other end. Is it working? Worst case scenario, that's there for you, that emergency phone. That's what you use. If you can't report to your supervisor, you go directly to the emergency phone. Pick it up. If it doesn't work, got no radio, what do? So again, what do you do if it's not in order? Report it. Everything, just report it. If there's any issues, report it. Okay. Now looking at signs. So there are 4 types of signs, or 5 if you include fire. So there's 4 types of signs. Prohibition, red one. Anything that's red with a line through it, no smoking, no exit. Self-explanatory. Mandatory, must have. They're blue. You must keep out. You must keep this door shut. You must have ear defence on. You must have steel toe cap boots. You must wear your helmet, whatever it may be. Safe conditions, otherwise known as information. Things like that is fire assembly points or assembly points, fire exits, first aid points, anything like that, they're green. Warning is yellow. Danger, high voltage, caution. Probably the most one you may see with a warning would be a yellow wet floor sign. That actually makes a triangle and it's yellow. That's a warning. It means that there's an issue. Last but not least, you've got the fire. Okay, so you've got the fire hoses, fire extinguishers, where the fire alarm point is, where the fire extinguisher is. If you have seen a fire extinguisher sign on a wall, make sure that below it or somewhere within very, very close proximity is the fire extinguishers, because that is where people will go in the event of an emergency to find the fire extinguisher. If it's not there, there you go. Emergency fire telephone, the fire alarm, self-explanatory, okay? So, what to look for when you're checking for hazards? So, safety hazards, as we said before, things that might cause slips, trips and falls, wires, boxes, wet floors, they're all safety hazards. Sharp objects and protrusions. You'll be surprised, they might be doing some handiwork. You may have a screw sticking out. You may have a nail sticking out somewhere. Is it at height where someone will actually get injured? Even if it isn't, report it. But worst case is you've got something at eye level. If you imagine someone walking past that, the injury is catastrophic. Hazardous chemicals and substances. People leave bleach lying around. They might have had cleaners, they might have had white spirits, who knows? That's all a safety hazard. Weather conditions, serious safety hazard. I don't know if you watched the boxing, when David Price fought on Anthony Joshua, he actually had Tesco's bags. I think Tesco's in a safety bag, I think it was, on his feet. Why is that? Because of weather conditions. Have you got the right shoes? Do you have slippery shoes? In the middle of winter, and the concourse or the stairs are wet, you're going to fall over. So weather conditions. Security hazards. Overcrowding or unauthorised entry. Has that person been searched? Is there overcrowding? Do you have too many people in it? I refer back to Hillsborough, enough said. Fire hazard. Litter and rubbish. That was the cause of the Bedford fire. They did not clean up afterwards. The stand was obviously wooden, but there was a load of rubbish. If you watch the fire, and I think there should be a link on here with the fire if you've watched it before or after. If not, email me and I will send it to you. But if there's rubbish everywhere, that's going to spark. There's litter and rubbish. Has it been tidied? Not only does it look bad, it is actually a fire hazard. Here we go, hygiene hazards, dirty areas causing illness, water, toilets, rainwater, Legionnaire's disease comes from water. They're hygiene hazards, okay? And emergency equipment, is it faulty emergency equipment? For example, fire extinguishers. Does the fire alarm work? Does the door actually open on fire exit? Some of them are on maglocks. Some of them might be locked. Some of them might be gelled. Who knows? Okay. So there you go. What you're looking for: safety hazards, security hazards, fire hazards, hygiene hazards, and emergency equipment. Everything that you're looking for there. So, what do you do? Risk assess the hazard identified. So, let me give you an example. What are you going to come across? Let's say water on the floor in a concourse. You've got water on the floor in the concourse. What is the hazard? Water on the floor. Obvious. What is the risk? Well, the risk is going to be determined by who could be affected. So if you've got water in a corner where nobody goes, it's still a hazard, still needs to be reported. What you can do is shut that off. It's not an immediate risk. However, if you have water or spilt lager on the concourse, what's the risk for that? Well, if it's before you open, get it cleaned up beforehand. If it's during the game or during the event, get it done. Okay, so when you've got there, the risk is a chance, high or low, that somebody could be harmed by these. So who's going to be harmed by that water on the concourse? Well, you, your colleagues, emergency services, customers, anybody. Okay, that's what you need to do. Make sure you get it all sorted out. So, we've covered actions, we've covered everything else that could happen around you. Now we need to talk about what actions can you do that will be dangerous. What can you do that will be dangerous? So, by not following the procedures, you've had your briefing, you've had your information given, do not do this, do not do that. We covered it earlier. So, by not following procedures, not following instructions, not dealing with or reporting identified hazard. You don't report that water on the concourse, you then have to go somewhere in an emergency. What happens? You fall over and hurt yourself. There you go. Attempting to deal with a situation you're not trained for. That's not only fires, if you're not trained for fires, that is also fights. That's all conflict situations. Unless you've been trained to do so, then do not get involved. Just observe it, report it. You're the eyes and the ears. You're the eyes and the ears. Arguing with members of the crowd. That's self-explanatory. There's been so many times I've seen people argue with people, but what they don't realise is that behind them, it's not just one or two. You may be in a block of 3,000 people. You may have 10,000 people. That one person has everybody else around him. Do not argue with members of the crowd. And attempted to enter the crowd alone. That is a given, as far as I'm concerned. You try and go through the crowd. You may have a high-vis jacket. You might be seen on cameras. But if you go in on your own, nobody will know you're there. Most importantly, nobody will be able to get you out. Okay, so there are actions that you would do, not following procedures. Again, this is just following in the portfolio. For you not knowing whereabouts we are, looking for the book now. You're going to be looking at page. This relates to the questions. I'm lost. Let me find it. Wait 1 second. We've got here. We're looking at page question 16, question 17. They're the sort of ones that you need to there. Question 19. This relates to dangerous actions. Question 19. Describe the sort of action which could endanger yourself and others when identifying and dealing with physical hazards. There's one thing I actually forgot to mention at the very beginning. Please, please, please do not just write down what you see on this PowerPoint. Do not just copy it word for word. There is no value in that whatsoever. We will know and we will then pass that back. We want it in your own words. Okay? So dangerous actions, what sort of actions? Not following procedures. Give me an example. Not following procedures. What is not following procedures? So not following the correct procedure. Not following instructions. Okay? Attempt to enter the crowd alone. Why? Spread it out. Give us the reasons why. Okay? How to search a venue for suspect items. So now moving forward. you've got confined areas, doing a systematical approach. So confined area, example of a confined area, be a toilet. That'd be a confined area. It may be a seating area. So you have an extended line. Each individual person walks down each row there. That's a confined area from one side to the other. If you've seen it when you do a sweep of the stadium inside, you'll probably start on one end of the stand and in an extended line walk up there, or vice versa. If it's an open area, a concourse, for example, systematical from one side to the other, making sure you've covered everything. Public are present. Concourse again, restaurants, anything on those sort of lines, okay? Systematic from one side to the other, but be discreet when the public are present. Why is it important you do that discreetly when public are present? Because you don't want to frighten them. If they know that you're looking around for a suspect package or you're looking for something, someone with a high-vis jacket who's panicking or walking around saying, excuse me, it naturally means they're going to draw themselves to it, all right? Make sure you do it nice and discreetly. It could be anything that you could be looking for. A carrier bag, a lunch box, a thermos flask, a briefcase, I don't know, a box, a McDonald's box, anything. So anything that looks out of the ordinary, you need to mention. So what happens then if you actually do find something? What indicates that that is actually an issue? Well, it's quite simply this HOTS procedure. Again, like I said in the first introduction video, you're talking about the HOTS procedure, but it relates back to that scenario. So you don't just put down, is it hidden? Yes or no, or what hidden is. It's got to relate to that scenario. So read that scenario and implement what I'm about to tell you. So HOTS, is it hidden? What determines if it's hidden? If something's just left in a concourse, and it's just a bag down, is it hidden? No, it's not. If it's been tucked behind somewhere, up, behind a chair, that's hidden. Is it obviously suspicious? What makes it obviously suspicious? A smell, wires hanging out of it, a bag that doesn't fit. Think of that. Is it typical of what you expect to find now? Well, you go to an airport, would you expect to find a suitcase? 1,000,000% you would. However, if you go to a football game, would you expect to see a suitcase? No. So just think about it. Just think, get that gut feeling. If it's not what you believe it is, it's not. What's your staff action? Okay, we'll talk about that. That's going to cover the 5 C's on the next slide. But it says there, if it's not hidden, it's not obviously suspicious, and it's typical of an item you reasonably expect to see at an event, what would your actions be? Again, you'd still report it, go through the same process, but tell your supervisor, tell the person, it's on the emergency phone, I believe this is hidden, I believe it's obviously suspicious. Why? If you say, I don't think it is, tell them why. Use the same process, just tell them if you think it is hidden, no, yes, obviously suspicious, etc, etc, okay? So staff action, then come back down to, there you go, think dynamic risk assessment, the 4 C's or the 5, if you want to call it, all right? You confirm that's suspicious, that bag is suspicious by applying the HOTS procedure. What you then do, when you've got communication, tell your supervisor, do not start clearing that area. You start clearing that area, you're going to cause a panic, you're going to cause a stampede. Fire it up, tell these individuals, tell the supervisor, tell the controller on the emergency phone, tell them, I believe it's suspicious. They will give you the nod, or they will give you the okay to clear. That's when you start clearing, but you do it systematically. You get them moving around. On the scenario, probably we may have one of these, who knows? You then call them off the area. These are the spacings you need. If it's a small package, it's 100 metres. If it's a medium-sized package, it's 200 metres. If it's a large package, it's 400 metres. So a small package is a bag. A medium-sized package would be a car, for example, and a large package would be a lorry. All right, so it's 100 metres for a small, 200 for a large, 400 for a large. 100 for a small, 200 for medium, and 400 for a large, okay? Then you control it. Who do you let in and out? We don't let anybody apart from emergency services or authorised individuals. Don't let your mate in, you don't let a spectator in, don't let your friend in, even don't let your supervisor in. Your supervisor will have no reason to be there. The sort of people you let in are the police, the safety officer, anyone that's authorised. If in doubt, ask them if they're authorised. And most of it's got caution there, use of radios and mobiles. Don't use your radio or your mobile around it. 50 metres is the guided area. However, use a radio and mobile, could set the signal off. May not, but let's not hope it does. So there you go. So just a bit of a recap. You've got your HOTS procedure, which is obviously looking for hidden objects, looking for things. Then obviously you then put in your action. So your staff action, the entity staff action, is the 4 C's. Okay, and then what do you do? Report of an unattended item. So a member of the public, as an example, member of the public reports an unattended item to you. What action should you take? Well, you apply the HOTS procedure first and foremost. Okay, for the information, get information, get their details. It might have been them that planted it. Who knows? The size, shape, and the colour of it. Why is it important you get as much information as possible? Because if you're looking on camera or you're doing that, let's say for example, someone comes up, I'll come up to you and say, "There's a blue bag over here. Fantastic. How many blue bags are in the world? Loads. But you need to get the information. Right, okay, where's the blue bag? Has it got any distinguishing features on it? It means that you can spot it a lot quicker. It means that when you're searching for it, you see a load of red bags and you've got a blue bag. Fantastic. If there's a bag over there and there's 10 bags, who do you know what it is? The size, shape and the colour. How long has it been there? Someone might just dropped it. Could be there 10 seconds. Might actually be next to someone. If it's been there for a period of time, find out. When did the witness notice it? When the guy dropped it off, he had his face covered. Well, that's a given. But it might just be we noticed it as they walk past. And where is it exactly? We need to know where this is exactly. That will determine if it's hidden or not. Okay? So you've got the HOTS and also you've got the 5 C's procedures. So that hopefully covers all the information that you basically require for Unit 1. Okay? Any issues, like I said before, give me an email, grtraininglimited@gmail.com. If you have any questions or anything along them sort of lines. We will be doing a webinar, a live webinar, where we'll go through this. So what I would like you to do is try and complete your portfolio. Remember, put the information down. Please, please, please do not write just word for word. Make it your own little stance on it. Any questions, email us. If you have anything that you're stuck on, we're going to have on a webinar, you want to discuss it on a live webinar, email me what question it is, and we'll answer. Listen, thank you very much for listening. I hope you've actually learnt something, and look forward to seeing your portfolio.